Welcome to episode 10 of Marriage Material, where we are going to go on a trip down memory lane today on how myself and Kylie met.
Many years ago.
Many years ago. We were both 17 at the time, and we met under some really fortuitous circumstances. And we wanted just to do an episode for those that are watching. If you're here new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you very much for tuning in every week. We really do appreciate it. If you're listening to us or watching us, I hope that you've been enjoying this Marriage Material podcast. Off the back end of last week, we did a really nice remembrance of Bonnie.
Yeah.
It was a lovely week where we was able to talk about our experience, and we thought this week we would go all the way back to when we first met. Yeah. So let's dive into it, okay. as you would say.
Yeah, let's dive straight into it.
So we were both 17 at the time,
mm-hmm.
and what was you doing in your 17-year-old life at that moment in time, and then what was I doing, and then we'll kind of connect the dots on how we actually were able to, in a very unlikely circumstance, we came together.
Yeah.
And to give a little bit of a sneak preview to it, I think if there was a few minutes either way, our entire life together may not have occurred the way it has.
Yeah.
So what was you doing, like, coming out of school?
Obviously I was a hairdresser, so I was going to college as well. I was doing 1 day a week at college, and I worked in a hairdresser called Saks. So when I went to college, I met my very good friend Rachel, and to be fair, just doing what most 17-year-olds do. I was driving, so it was going out in the car with my friends, just having a great time, basically. So that's a nutshell of what I was doing. I mean, I'm not going to go into every detail of what I was doing. Not that I was doing anything wrong, Mum.
Yeah, for me, I was at the time at John Leggett. I was a year at John Leggett, but on the evening after college, I started a part-time job at a local pub called the Mallard, where I was a pot wash. I was superstar pot wash. It's not maybe the most glamorous position, but I certainly wanted it to be like, I'm going to be the best pot wash ever. So yeah. I used to work at the Mallard. I think it was like every Tuesday, every Thursday, and then like all day Sunday, because obviously they did carveries and pub lunches and things like that. And it was kind of like every week I'd walk to work, and then I'd usually get a lift home. So I'd walk to work after college and get a lift home, and walk to work, get a lift home. And that is, that's where the story kind of starts, because I remember this one particular evening, we used to finish work around, I think it was around about 8:30, 9 o'clock, or somewhere around there. And sometimes we would go to after work and just get a drink, because we were at the pub, etc., and just have a drink. Obviously, being underage, it was non-alcoholic. And the lift that I usually got home with, in this particular day, randomly, just I can't quite remember. There was either not at work, or they'd left early. They couldn't stay after work,
yes.
And so therefore I was forced to walk home. But if that was any other shift, anything else, I would have just driven home. And just so happens, as I was walking home, I have this silver KA stop.
So basically, let's do another little bit, because I don't just stop for random people that I see on the streets.
I understand, but from my perspective...
Yeah, from your perspective, I literally did do that. But the friendship group that I had, a couple went to school with Kev, didn't they? So yes. I had, as I've got still, my very good friend Rachel, and then there was another guy called Gav, and we were actually driving to his house, which he lived by Mallard. So yeah, it was in my car driving along the road, and it was Rachel who says, "Oh my God, that's Kev." Like that. So, but bearing in mind I'm driving, so I was like, "What?" Like she was like, "Oh my God, like pull over if you can." She's like, "That's Kev. We went to school with him." So obviously Rachel and Gavin, the car, were like, because I don't know how long it had been since you guys had seen each other.
So we going through secondary school. We have lots of great friends at secondary school, but I used to have some really great group of friends. Like we was all in the sports clubs, football teams, cricket teams, rugby teams, and I had a really great friendship with Gav. And Rach was also at the same school, and she was one of my best girlfriends, as in like a girlfriend. And always throughout the 5 years of school, bearing in mind we left in 2005, we had a great best of friends. And then we ended up meeting 2007 time or something. So it was like a good 2 years had passed. We'd left school, lost contact. This is before the days of like Facebook.
Yeah, it was MySpace and things like that, wasn't it?
So it wasn't like you could just keep in contact.
Yeah.
So when, from my perspective, you stopped, obviously at first I was like, why is this car stopping right next to me? Because it was at a crossroads in a road. If I had been further down the street, or if you guys had stopped for petrol, or if you gone
like
another way,
it's just time. And if I wasn't on that road at that particular time, we would never have seen you, and then you would never have come up.
No, and so when you stopped, and obviously, literally within a split second, I then saw Rach and Gav. Obviously, at this moment in time, I have no idea who you are.
I don't with you either.
Yeah, we don't know each other whatsoever.
Yeah.
I was just like Rach and Gav was to me. I was like, wow, you guys, it's so good to see you. It's been, 2 years, 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
And just super, super, like, grateful to see my best friends, even though at the time I'm walking home in my uniform, which is like, bearing in mind I'm a pot wash, so it's not glamorous. I've got like, the blue and white checkered bottoms on. I've got, I must have had a coat on, but underneath that coat will have been like other people's dinners, etc. I'm so glad that you didn't see that.
Yeah, so am
I. But like I said, because there was no social media then, really. It was amazing to see Gav. It was amazing to see Rach, and we exchanged. We were just catching up with that brief. I think it was only like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't long. It was literally like 5-10 minutes. Bear in mind, I'm just sat in my driving seat, and obviously you guys are just like, "Oh, so good to see you." And then, as you naturally do when you see people you've not seen in a while, it was like, "Oh, like give us your number, and like we'll have to," because I mean, you were really good friends, like you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I think as we drove off, obviously naturally me, Rachel and Gav was having a conversation, because I was like, bearing in mind I'm driving, and it was just like, oh my God, that's Kev from school, like pull over. So naturally I was just like I need to know what's it all about type of thing. Like, so they were just explaining like what you've just said about going to school and everything, and I can just remember thinking like, oh, he's lovely. Lovely.
Don't make me blush. I remember, obviously, without being rude in that moment, I don't know Kylie, so I'm like, hi, like you just naturally like politely saying hi, and then it's like I'm talking to Gavin Rach. But I do remember there's a couple of things that I remember quite clearly. Number one, it was you're driving at this moment in time, whereas I wasn't driving, and I didn't know whether Gav
and you're also outside, we're in a car, so you kind of like
I'm kind of
down as such,
and it's dark. But I do specifically remember you used to have like bright bleached blonde hair. I don't want to call it bright because bright's maybe not the right thing, but bleached blonde hair.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at yourself and going, she's hot. But at that moment in time, like, I didn't know what your age was. For all I know, you could be like 26, 20, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're driving. Do you know you have that perception of during that time when you're 17 and you're not driving? anybody that drives is a grown-up to you. Do you know what I mean? So you're like, I didn't know what age you was going to be or anything of this nature. I was like, wow, she's very, very good looking. She's hot. And really great to see Gav and Rach and exchange numbers. And then walking back home with a bit of a skip in the step, going like, wow, that was awesome to see Gav and Rach. And then I think it was I got home, and as you do at that age, you've got your mobile phone out, you're up in your bedroom, and then I believe, did I get a message off Rach or was it from you?
Me.
It was from you.
Yeah, I can remember was at Gav's house and we was all obviously talking and stuff, and then naturally they were talking, saying, "Oh, we should give him a message, and like we should try and like hang out," whatever we said then. So embarrassing. "Oh, we should give him a message." And I was like, "I'll message him." Bearing in mind, like, so forward, like I wouldn't have thought I was that type of person, to be fair, but I thought I'm gonna. So yeah, I think I just messaged you saying, "Oh, hi, I'm Kylie. I was the girl who was driving." Because I think it is a little bit like you've said, like we didn't know each other either. Like I'm hearing everything from Rachel and Gav. Obviously you knew Rachel and Gav prior, so I think that's how the ice got broken as such, wasn't it? Because Rachel was very much like, "Oh, we had the best time at school, like we should definitely see if we can all meet up," and she kept saying like you would love him and all that type of stuff. So I just thought, nothing to lose, like I'll just send you a message. You did reply very quickly back to me.
Well, why would I not?
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I'm just getting that out there because yes, I was forwarding sending the first message, but boom, message back, and I was like, thank God for that.
No, why would I not? Pride. I mean, number one, like I said, when you see like an old great friend, you're excited to see one another and try to rekindle like a bit of a connection, and and then
good. There was a good buzz, like I say, to have that energy where like I didn't know you didn't know me, but from me listening to what Rachel was saying, I was like, I want to hang out with you. Like it just sounded like that night. I can still remember it being like, oh God, like exciting, and like obviously there was that element where like you are good looking, so I was like, nice. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like a bit of a buzz, and it was great. I mean, Rachel was like super happy that she'd seen you again and stuff like that, and I think it just got chatted, didn't we? And like obviously then Rachel was speaking to you and stuff. So yeah, and then we met up then, didn't we, all of us together?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, like I said, like we've just said, it was awesome just to reconnect. How you guys been? Obviously, get to know what those two are up to. Obviously, we're all now like grown up and going to work and stuff, or apprentices, or courses, or college, or whatever. Then obviously getting to know yourself, like in terms of like, how did you guys meet? And I remember, so at the time, there was I don't want to say another person involved. I had a girlfriend at that moment in time. And again, like from my perspective, it was, there's a couple of things when I look back. Number one, it was, there was, I didn't have that many, like, I wasn't in a friend circle or anything. So my life was very much like, my life was work, college, work, college, work, college. And I wasn't hanging around with anybody that was able to drive around or anything of this nature. So when I was able to rekindle that relationship with Rach and Gav, for me, it was like, I love hanging out with my mates. And being able to then meet up with you guys to catch up properly, like I was always going to do that.
Yeah. That, I mean, of course, it was never a case where it was like, I mean, I just fancied you. That's what it was for me. I mean, I didn't have a boyfriend or anything like that, so it was like I just fancied you. But it was also that we were just friends. Like before anything, like we were just naturally friends. Like obviously we were getting to know each other, and I think it was. It was just meeting up, wasn't it? Like we'd all meet up at the pub, and naturally Rachel would be like, "Oh," it was back then as well. It was different because it was like you knew when you went out, you kind of knew everyone, or a lot of people you would know. So like there was a pub called Lincoln Imp, which we loved. Like, we'd just go into there, and then you were there one night as well. So I mean, it was these little sequences of like, yes, we'd been taught, like you and Rachel and Gav and me, we'd all been talking and things like that, but it wasn't a thing where it was like every single night or like that.
No.
It started happening where it was just like, I don't know, maybe
There was coincidences.
Yeah, like Rachel would. We walked into Lincoln Imp and you was in there.
Yeah.
And then I can always remember Rach turning around being like, "Oh, Kev's in here." Oh my god, is he really? And then like we'd walk through and like obviously you're acting all cool, aren't you? So we'd just say hello, and then it's still at that point, obviously we'd said hello to each other, but it still was. I was very much, in my opinion, it was very much like this is Rachel's friend type of scenario. Like, I didn't know you well enough. You weren't my friend at that point. Like, I didn't know you well enough. So yeah, it was just a sequence of events that would then we'd be out in town one night and you'd be there. So it just so happened that never seen you before in my life, and then over a course of a couple of months, it was like, "Oh, you're there. Hi."
Yeah,
and bumping into each other.
Yeah, and this was, I would say, it was maybe the summertime, the June time, let's call it. The June time. So this, over a course of several months, we, like you said, we would see each other either at the pub, or we would see each other out in town, or we would see. It was just a lot of coincidences, and every time we saw, obviously through the messages with Rachel or yourself, it was like then we'd have a drink together and spend the evening together, having a good laugh together. So there was a lot of coincidences throughout that entire several months period. And at the same time, during that moment in time, there was, I was hanging around with one of my other great friends called Matty Todd, and we would hang out like over the weekends and stuff like that. And without going into full details, but there was certain things that occurred between my then girlfriend that was it just wasn't working. I mean, at the end of the day, I was young. It was we just weren't. It wasn't like a friendship or anything. Like we just ended up splitting up. And then what ended up happening was obviously during that period of time, we'd start hanging out with each other a lot more. I'd start hanging around with Gavin and Rachel a lot more, and then obviously you're there. And I do remember. I don't know when it was. I think it was beginning of October or something. I remember meeting in town. I think we went town shopping or something. Oh, and
yeah.
I remember walking around town, bearing in mind I'm earning my weekly wage at this moment in time. So it was like I'm earning a bit of like weekly money, and I think I just got paid. It wasn't a lot, but I just got paid, and I remember walking around town, and there was a couple of things that
I know every single one. So we went into H&M, and there was a grey jacket, and it had like navy blue or black stars all over it, like a zip up hoodie as such. Then so naturally you're just like, oh, I'm more talking to like Rach. I'm like, oh, I really like that. And then we was in Clinton Cards, and what were them bears called? Forever Bears? Me to You Bears.
Yeah.
And there was like, and I just like them as well. So naturally I'm just like, oh, I like that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
so they were the...
Yeah, so we had a great day in town, and we was walking around all the different shops, because that's what you just did, walk around different shops. I'd hear Kylie be like, oh, that's a nice hoodie that is, and that's, I love those bears. And at the time then, obviously I wasn't driving or anything, but I remember clocking all that.
Yeah.
And then obviously at that moment in time, we was also in preparation for your 18th birthday, which is in the October, and we were preparing or you mentioned that it was going to be like a fancy dress party, so we were all like preparing ourselves to go to this Halloween fancy dress party. And I remember I can't remember how quickly it was after that town day, but I remember getting on the bus going back to town. I remember getting back on the bus, going up to town, and I was like, I'm just going to go pick her up this hoodie as well as those bears and get a nice card. And I thought to myself, it's your birthday coming up.
Yeah.
You've said that's what you like. Perfect. I've got your birthday present.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, there's no doubt about it. Like I definitely started to. I was like, we had a great friendship.
Yeah. We were just mates. We were great mates, weren't we?
We had an amazing friendship, and it was when you're in that stage of it was flirty friendships.
Yeah.
Messaging, whether it's at night, in the mornings, good morning, that type of thing. And for me, it was like, I'm looking for a birthday present as well. You've said that this is what you want.
Yeah.
So I'm a strong believer. If somebody says or hints that this is what they like, I'm not the type of person. I try to, but like, I'm just gonna go get it.
Yeah.
So I remember. I believe it was actually the morning of the party of your 18th.
Yeah.
The morning of the 18th, because we knew we was going to get fancy dressed and we was going to go to the party, I didn't want to come with like all the presents and everything to the party, so I ended up just dropping them off at your house.
Yeah.
Which
I had no idea about. I'm upstairs, me and Rach getting ready, and then obviously Kev came to the house, knocked on the door, and I can remember, I think it was my mum shouted up going, "Kylie, Kev's here." So I came down the stairs, bearing in mind thinking, what's he doing here? And then come down the stairs, and then you were just stood there with my gifts, and it was literally like what we've just said. It was every single thing that I'd mentioned. It was just, I was gobsmacked. It like, I just didn't expect it at all, because just didn't expect it. So he came, said happy birthday, dropped them off, and then
we were just buzzing
excited.
Excited for, Kylie's going to turn 18. I had just turned 18.
Yeah.
So we are 5 days apart on our birthdays, as you know, from just the last few episodes. And that was an incredible night. I mean, it was an amazing party at a local pub called The Poacher. You had your family there, friends there.
Yeah.
Your brother Gareth and his friends were there.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Lots of people in fancy dress. Just an amazing night. It really was a great night. We ended up like going to town that night, and that was also the night where it was getting to the point where I really just wanted to become boyfriend and girlfriend, because one, we like we just said, we had an amazing relationship. Getting on like a house on fire, it was amazing. Had just an amazing night, and I thought, being my romantic self, I was like, why not ask her to be my girlfriend on your birthday? Thinking that would be nice and romantic and stuff, So that's why I tried to butter you up with the presents first.
Please don't say no. Please.
please don't say no. Fortunately, you didn't say no, which is because
I didn't even expect. Like you've just said, I think we both kind of knew it was just who was going to take that first step, and I thought it's not going to be me. But yeah, and then you asked me, and I can remember, like, bearing in mind it was my 18th, so I'd had a little bit to drink by that point, and I can just remember, saying, "You won't remember in the morning," asking me, because I loved him. I was like, "Please remember in the morning." Obviously, I didn't say that to him, but I can remember joking, saying, "You won't remember in the morning," asking me, but you did. So,
yeah, absolutely.
No, it was lovely, and I think just like what you've said, like and still to this day, I think that's the fundamental for our relationship, along with other things, of course. But like, we're just friends. Like, you make me laugh, I make you laugh, and I think that's what we've built.
Sometimes.
I think that's what we've built our friendship, and then into obviously our relationship on. Like, and I think that was. I'm really happy it went that way.
Me
that
too.
We actually liked each other to begin with, but on just a friendship, because I think that's what's carried us through. That we are just friends.
Yes.
As well. So
100%. I mean, you've got to. I say this quite often. I count my lucky stars, stripes, whatever you want to call it. That particular evening I walked home, because from meeting you, I mean, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, from our family, our life together, and everything that we've built together has come from that one moment. And I've never looked back. Obviously, we've had 16, 17 years together at this point.
17 now.
Yeah, and we've had a big journey in that, children in that. We've had heartaches in that, Bonnie, for example. But it's the best thing that's ever happened to me with everything that we've built together. But going back to the day after we become girlfriend and boyfriend, I was at work on the Sunday morning. Oof. And bearing in mind it was a Saturday night 18th birthday party, drinking all night. We was all very, very happy. And on a Sunday, I used to work from 12 noon until around about 9 at night.
Yeah. Because
all day carveries, so 9-hour shift. But on a Sunday, because it was so busy, we used to start at 10. So it was like 10 till 9. So you're now talking about 10, 11-hour shift. And this particular morning, me and Panther had to go to Malad. And I remember walking in, bearing in mind we'd been out all half the night, hungover, rolling stuffing balls. Oh my goodness. I still remember being stood there when you're like swaying, like you're just ill at that point, just rolling stuffing balls. And the mountain of stuffing balls that had to be rolled, it wasn't like roll a couple for yourself, it was like you're feeding the town.
Yeah.
So you are rolling for an hour and a half straight of rolling and I love stuffing, I really do. Give me a nice Sunday dinner with a bit of stuffing in, amazing. But the day after, when you've had a lot to drink and a lot of shots, and no, not at all.
No, thank you.
But yeah, so we ended up getting into a relationship. I remember meeting your parents for the first time, which was it's always frightening.
Yeah,
it's always frightening when you're meeting parents. And I remember that one particular evening where I believe it was at your mum's house, where they were having a barbecue in the back garden, and I think Wendy was there, Andy was there, your mum, your dad was there. They're all outside.
The whole family, pretty much.
The whole family, pretty much. And
ease you in gently.
Yeah, and I remember Kylie, obviously in the car, and Kylie was like, "Oh, come on in and say hello." And you get that like instantly sweating mode, like oh my goodness. But it was all right. I mean, I remember saying obviously hello, and you've got all these eyes looking at you, and they're all grown ups, and they're all your family, and it's like, please like me.
Yeah, so funny because I know my mum like said to me, so when we'd come in, like Kevin said hello to everyone, and like you've just said, it is nerve wracking. It's a big thing, and like I'd certainly not brought any other person home to introduce or anything, so I think my mum and dad were like, oh, okay, like obviously this is what they're doing type of thing. And then I must have run into the house, bearing in mind they were all in my back garden having a barbecue, and they were all just talking and having fun. So I'd run into the house. I think I was getting maybe a jacket or something because we were off to go out, weren't we? And then I must have said it, but I must have said it, but so Kev at this point had like gone back and sit in the car basically, because I was like, I'm just going for 2 minutes, I'm going to go run and get my jacket. So Kev like said bye to everyone, went back and sat in my car, and then as I was coming down the stairs, I think I was into the kitchen to go out. I think my mum would be able to say it better, but I turned around and said, oh, by the way, I'm going to marry him.
It's come full circle, hasn't it?
So, yeah, at the time, I was like, no, I did not say that, Mum. Like, a few weeks on, she was like, oh, you said that? And I was like, no, I never. Like, being probably a bit embarrassed, maybe, but I was like, Mum, play it cool. Like, calm down. But now it's like you've just said, it's like, how good is that?
That's amazing. And like we said, I think when you first, because I was living with my sister at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, you was living with your mum and dad, and I think that, like, from me meeting your family, I think everything was like great. We got on very well. I think the same when you met my sister, and everything was great. We had such a. there's a lot of relationships, or there's relationships where maybe one family doesn't like the other partner, or whatever the case is. But we never had that.
No,
it was always.
We used to be at your sister's house every weekend, like before we'd go out into town, and it was great. And it's like there's literally, I think again, it comes from potentially having just, all your family want you to be. Your family wants you to be happy, and vice versa. So I think that the fact that we are just happy, that naturally eased a lot of minds, and you just want people to be happy with each other. And the fact that we just got on so well, and also you got on with my family extremely well, I get on with your family really well, so it's it's good in that respect, where there is really no need for there to have been anything of
and the great thing, one of the things that I remember very, very, very early on was that your parents, Yvonne and Lindsay, you had your family is like, the foundation is family. Obviously, your mum and dad had been married for decades at this point, and I remember from my point of view being like, you've got such a great family, because a lot of parents maybe separate, and a lot of maybe broken marriages and things of this nature. But your mum and dad had literally been married for decades, I say, and happy and everything. And it was like, I remember thinking like, that is such an amazing family culture. Yeah. And then I also remember meeting your big brother Gareth, and
Gareth,
who the one thing that I'd say is, from my perspective, although it was extremely daunting meeting your brother, meeting your dad, we were able to build such a great relationship because we had a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
So like, I loved football, Gareth loves football. We love going to watch a bit of football, or F1 or anything like that. So it didn't feel like uncomfortable going to the pub with your brother and your dad.
Yeah.
And I was able to build a great relationship with those two because we had a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I didn't like football, so therefore there's not. It was a way of being able to communicate and build the initial relationships, because we've got a lot of common things that we like.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you built your own relationships. It wasn't just like you're doing it because you're my boyfriend. It was a genuine connection between my dad and you, and obviously Gareth and yourself. So it was a natural progression of, one, us dating, but two, you just naturally enjoy each other's company as well. So it was great, to be fair.
Yeah, and those times, going to, whether it was the pub on a Sunday to watch a bit of football and then have Sunday dinner, like we'll always remember those times. Because
it's funny because when you mention about Sunday dinners, so for me growing up, Sunday dinners were always a thing. Like, we literally would all, regards to what you were doing, like my mum and dad, more so my mum, she'd be like, you're not making plans on Sundays. Sundays are family time. Like, we're all going to sit around the dining room table. We have like, my mum cooks amazing food. We're going to sit round, we're going to talk and like be a family as such. Because, you're busy. We were like, Gareth's 5 years older than me, so he's working, he's got a family, and, you're naturally just busy day-to-day life working as well. Same for my mum and dad. So Sundays were always instilled in family day. So that would be like, my brother and my dad would go to the Poacher, which was literally round the corner from my mum and dad's house. And then we'd all sit around the table. And obviously when at the start of meeting Kev and like starting this relationship with Kev, Sundays for me started slipping because I wanted to be with Kev, and, we'd and Rachel would all go out, and, doesn't matter what day it is, we were all together as such. So it started off being like, gonna be a little bit late for tea today. And the first couple of times my mum was like, okay. And then I can remember she was like, right, no, like, either Kev comes or you're not going, like, you're not going out type of thing, which in a funny way. And then I think that's how it then introduced you to start coming around for Sunday dinners. Yeah. I was like, oh, do you want to come for Sunday dinner?
Yeah, see, I didn't know that was happening. I think, I do think, the Sunday dinners and the traditional values of come together as a family is an amazing thing. So being invited to come round for then Sunday dinner was like, wow, amazing.
That's a thing for us.
This is amazing.
You've got the key to the door, should I say? Come on, you're coming round for Sunday dinner.
I know, and then I say unfortunately, it's not unfortunately, and I say it in a way that I ate your mum's food for the first time, and it was like, I love your mum's cooking.
Yeah,
it's like amazing food. So unfortunately, at that point, I was hooked on it, and it was like, your mum does the best Sunday dinners, and then as the initial months went by, obviously started getting introduced to your mum's other cooking, and whether it was a chili con carne, or whether it was a fish pie, or whether it was
Mum will be watching now. Don't scrunch your face up like that. We love it.
Or a meatloaf, or whether it was the puddings in like banana loaf, and there was so many amazing dinners. So whenever whenever it was like dinner time or Sunday dinners, it was like it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. It's so nice looking back on it all, because we've often said it feels like a lifetime ago. Even talking about and it's natural, you get older and you go on to different things, but like just the amount of good times we had, like with Rachel and a lot of other friends as well, of course, but it was just very good times, and like you kind of forget, don't you? So this is one reason why I love doing this podcast, is because you actually just have the time to go back and be like,
and reminisce.
They were really good, and you do just forget. And from start to finish and up to this point, very blessed, and touch wood, mate, long continue.
And it was amazing. Like throughout all the years. And, we were blessed in 2008 with Theo. And we may have another episode of unpacking all of becoming parents at like 19 years old.
Yeah.
So that might be
absolutely smashed, by the way.
Yeah, which we will most definitely talk about on kind of another episode, because that would be an episode in itself. But the one thing that I'll always say is, very quickly, you became my best friend.
Yeah.
First and foremost, like I love your sense of humor. I love your personality. I love the values and the what you stand for. Not gonna lie, from a guy point of view, I was like very attracted to you straight away, because I think you're just beautiful. And we just had such an amazing time together, and we built our relationship very much on the strong foundations. I think
I agree.
The strong foundations of wanting to be in each other's company, talk, hang out, text, even if we're not together, missing each other, even
fast forward to now, when we work together, and I still want to just be with you all the time.
Yeah, there's even to this day, we're very lucky to, one of the driving factors for us, we wanted just to be together a lot more, and now we can work together. But there's days where maybe I've been unwell, or Kylie's been unwell, and we've gone to work. So last week, unfortunately, like I laugh, but it's not funny. Kylie was unwell, and I literally dropped Harper off, and we had such a great drive to drop Harper off. But then I was driving from Harper, I went to Morrison's, and I came out, and the first thing I thought about was texting you, saying I don't feel the same today. Like, you're not with me. I miss you, my darling. So, like, the things that we did then, we're still doing now. And do you know what? There's a quote. I can't remember. I don't know who said the quote, but it's so true. It said something about relationships, saying, if you, at the end of a relationship, if you act like the start of a relationship, then the relationship would never end.
Yeah.
And I read that, and I can't remember when it was read that.
I've seen that. Yeah, it's so true.
Because at the start of a relationship, you're doing everything you possibly can to, whether that is, smell nice, look nice, be presentable, be polite, talk, bit of flirty,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And then, you know, ultimately the reason why people end up separating is because they're simply not doing those types of things anymore.
You just get complacent and think that you've just got each other.
Yeah, so for me, there's little things that I still think that we do to this day than what we did then. Like, for example, you know, we message when we're not together. Like, it feels like I'm going to work without my right arm here. Like, I miss you. Or whether it is early mornings, you have a coffee, or I get a coffee. Just little things like that.
Sometimes it is like, I say this, it's almost the little things that add up to be as big as a big gesture as such. You know, it is the little things like you've said, getting a cup of tea or a coffee in the morning. Just having that safety net, I think, as well. Like, just having a safety, warmth, genuine person that you're happy to be with day in, day out, no matter what you're going through. You know, if you've got that in life, then, you know, you're pretty going all right. You're doing all right, should I say. So,
absolutely.
Ride or die.
Ride or die,
That's what it is.
I know it is. Absolutely it is. And like I said, it's been a
roller coaster.
It's been a roller coaster. We've had some incredible magic moments with our children, and the amazing roller coaster and the magic moments that we've had, whether it's go to Disneyland with our kids, holidays, you know, going on family holidays with you, being introduced to it, you know, further family members, etc.
Yeah.
But we've also had our challenges where we've fallen out, obviously. We also had a period of around 9 months when we did separate, which I think that might be even a podcast episode at some point. But
no, we don't focus on the past.
but fundamentally, since 17 years old, I've always wanted you in my life.
Same.
Forever.
Like you've just touched on, one thing I will say about when we wasn't together, I honestly think it did us the world of good, because one thing that I've really respect with both of us is we've never asked each other to change. There was a period in time where we naturally were both changing, but it was never from a point of you asked me to change or I'm asking you to change. And I think that time apart, I mean, I don't know if you even can really call it time apart, because it was still in contact with each other and things like that. But what I'm trying to get at is, I think it did us the world of good, because it made me certainly appreciate you. And I think what we've just said about getting complacent, I do think it is natural to go through that cycle and that challenge of the same slogging in and out of work, in and out of parenthood, and it can become very challenging. So for me, I think that's definitely proven to me that, like, grass is not greener. You know, you've got to, I don't want to be so cliche, but you've got to water your grass, haven't you? You've got to make your grass greener than somebody else's as such. So I am truly grateful, and that might sound a bit silly, but I'm grateful for that time apart, because it's truly made me appreciate me more as a person, knowing that, like, you are the person I want, and hopefully vice versa. So, you
100%.
know, there's always going to be challenges, but even like when we started the business together and working together, some people would be like, how do you actually work together every day and come home every day? But I absolutely love it. Like, the thought of not doing that now would make me want to cry.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. It would be me too. I think, you know, like we said just before, I mentioned the 9 months. I think we both sides weren't acting like we just talked about how we met and what we were doing, and before that breakup, the separate, or the whatever you want to call it, we weren't doing that. Like, we'd lost our way, and there was a lot of circumstances around the entire time. You know, obviously being parents and young parents at that, going into adulthood, going into work life. That time between 18 and 22, 23, you know, you're an adult for the first time. You're going into the world for the first time. There's a lot of stresses. We moved in together and on all these things, but the point I'm really trying to make there,
get to the point.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make there is going back to that quote.
Yeah.
We'd lost our way in that, but since then, and going back to what you were saying about it's done the world of good. Since then, I never want you to change. I want you to be you, and I love it when you're you, obviously. And I always say, Kylie's living her best life.
Absolutely,
and your best life, and your you being you is the best version of you, the one that I love the most of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it, and I have absolutely loved reminiscing with you today.
It's been incredible. I've really enjoyed this one, and going back down memory lane and just picking out things that we've gone through and things like that. So, yeah, like I said, ride or die. Ride or die. Long may it continue. Touch wood. And
touch wood.
Let's just keep going at what we're going at.
And it kind of, I suppose we can end it on this here. Next year, when we do get married and we become Mr. and Mrs. It's gonna be so weird how it all gonna come full circle.
No, I've just seen a thing today. In 6 weeks' time, we can say we'll be able to say we get married this year.
That's
New Year's Eve night when it rings 12 o'clock and we all say Happy New Year. I'll be like, I'm getting married this year.
That is going to be so. It's exciting, and I'm super excited. There is no one part of me about being nervous, like of getting married or anything like that. For me, I'm just so excited with
I'm not nervous about getting married. I'm nervous about like getting married, like the actual making sure trip or
but I'm really excited. I've really absolutely loved this episode. I hope you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you've been listening to us, if by all means, if you want to share how you guys met and want to be involved in the comments or anything like that, please do. It's a wonderful thing, and we've had great friendship groups throughout these years. Mm-hmm. Many of them, for example, like Rachel, who was one of the main connectors between us two in the first place.
If I didn't know Rachel, I would never have met you.
And now
simple.
And now she's going to be one of your bridesmaids, right? Which is
shout out Rachel.
Which is outstanding, So, and it's been a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
it has. I'm really excited, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode.
Yeah,
I really do. So, thank you very much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we have. I hope you have a fantastic week, and episode 10 is done.
Episode 10.
What we're going to talk about next week? Putting you on the spot there.
Next week could be, dare I say it, wedding planning and the progression of where we're at with that.
Maybe that's the one that we touch on. There's some activity, there's some progress, there is things happening.
More revealed next week.
So that's it from us then, this episode.
Yep, that's it from us for another week.
Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you in Marriage Material, the podcast, next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. I love that.
That was good.
That was great. High five. Well done. Oh, yeah. And there's a photo of us. All smiley. Morzine. Amazing times.
So good. So good. So good.
Oh, it wasn't recording.
Shut up.